Hello, or welcome back if you're coming back to another speed build. This one is a little late, which I will get into soon, but with the release of the Life and Death pack, which I know has been almost a month ago now, but I'll get into what happened in a moment. This was the first build I've done with the Life and Death pack, and I wanted to use as much as I could from it. And you'll see that I'm starting out in the new kind of scary looking neighborhood, and this isn't actually a haunted house. So I ended up moving it because I thought the vibes weren't quite right, and I wanted to save this neighborhood for when I want to do an actual haunted house, which I don't know if that'll be next, or I have something else planned that I'm going to do too. So that'll be either the next one or the one after that is going to be classic haunted house with the Life and Death pack, fully abandoned with the broken windows and stuff. This one is just a normal house, but it is in the style that a lot of the items are in this pack, which I think this pack, the build items are so beautiful. And to do this build, I looked up a lot of Romanian revival style architecture, which is what it's meant to be based off of, it seems like. And a lot of the items fit this really well. I was really excited to get into this. I thought that style of architecture was actually really beautiful too, so I was really excited to try it. And I do love how this house turned out, even though it was kind of a pain in the ass for me to do. And I also have a story for today that is a Romanian folktale, because I thought that would be really neat. And I didn't know much about the architecture. I didn't know much about anything like that. And learning about it was really cool for me, and I'm really excited to share it with all like 10 people that are going to watch this video. So first, I just want to get into what happened. Even though I'm not some important person, I've been rambling in these, and I like doing it a lot, actually. It's kind of therapeutic to just talk into a microphone about anything that I want to talk about while I show you my build that I'm really excited for. But this video is a couple weeks late. It was originally only supposed to be 1 week late because of real world happenings and whatnot, but then I also got sick. So I was ready, and then I got sick. My voice was all messed up, and then I couldn't record my voiceover. The entire video has been done since November 11th. I'm recording this on November 27th. I got sick and I couldn't record my voiceover. Everything else was all set. As far as real life goes, I know a lot of people use The Sims as an escape from the real world, so I'll leave a timestamp on the screen. You can skip to that if you're trying to avoid things like that, or just mute me until that time. Or you could just mute me for the rest of the video. You don't really have to listen to me talk at all. I understand anything involving US politics. I understand completely if The Sims is your escape and you just want to skip it. I'll put the timestamp on the screen. So the US presidential election just happened, and it didn't feel right to not say anything at all, even though I'm just some guy. So I just wanted to say, take care of your loved ones, friends, family. And I'm a firm believer that family does not have to be biological. And if, like me, you feel a bit scared and helpless, if it's safe for you to do so, and if you have the time, consider volunteering in your community, maybe helping people that might really need it in the next few years. Don't give up, I guess. You know, we're in this together, right? And if everyone gives up, nothing will change. So do what you can if it is safe for you to. I want to bold that, underline it, everything stays safe. I'm just some guy, again, but I felt I should say something. Anything. And I realize this is very US centric, but I do live in the US. I care about you. I'm a random internet person, but I care about you. And then after that, I got sick. So I took my week to be upset. And then once I was ready to record my voiceover and everything, I was sick and my voice was all messed up. So that's why this is late. But after this, hopefully I'll go back to my schedule, because I actually really like having the schedule. No, it doesn't matter if I don't keep it. This isn't homework. I'm an adult. But I think it's nice. And I actually do like doing it. But not to actually talk about the build now that I've moved it to the other neighborhood in the world that comes in the new pack. I am obsessed with these windows. I'm obsessed with most of the build stuff. I think it's actually so pretty. And a lot of it, the pictures I was looking up of what buildings in this style look like, a lot of them match it really, really well. And I do love the broken window swatch. I promise I am going to use those on that haunted house I was talking about earlier. And I can't wait to use them. I want to do a proper abandoned haunted house. But for this one is very much not abandoned. And it's a pretty big house. It ended up being 4 bedrooms. So I have 3 kids' rooms, 2 kids' rooms, a teenager, and then the master bedroom. And I was going very much with the style of the pack on the inside as well. And I tried to use almost every object. I didn't use every single object. I did use a lot of them, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. But looking at the pictures, I really wanted to include lots of these little sort of balcony things, a lot of overhangs. I was seeing a lot of overhangs, and the arches with the columns and spandrels were actually so perfect. I'm actually so impressed with it. It looks straight out of real life in these pictures I was looking at. I was like, this is absolutely beautiful, actually, these spandrels. I do wish there was more ornamentation. In this style of architecture, I was seeing a lot of very beautiful ornamentation on just the walls themselves and above the windows. And these windows do have that, but there was just more stuff, texture on the walls, stuff like that, which isn't really a thing that you have in The Sims. Like, there are pieces that you can put on the walls to give them something a little special, but they don't really have those. And I wish they did. I wish I could just draw on top of it and put that on my building. Let me draw some pretty ornamentation and then place it on the house, please. Because the buildings were so beautiful. I really wanted this to be as pretty as those were, which is probably impossible in The Sims. Well, maybe not impossible, but for someone a lot more talented than me, maybe. With what you can do in The Sims and the build items they were given, I think they did a really good job with this, actually. Is it worth $40? Probably not. I do think this is one of the best expansions that exist in the build mode and the gameplay stuff. I have really enjoyed it. And I actually go back to the outside of this house too, because it was just looking too plain compared to these absolutely beautiful pictures that I was seeing. I wanted to do something else. So we will come back to the outside later. And also, this is not the finished landscaping. And this was just me going through debug, seeing all the new stuff that we got. And actually, I did see a couple repeats of stuff. So there's an Ivy set from Cottage Living that is also in the Life and Death debug, just slightly differently colored. So that's cool. If you don't have Cottage Living, you can still use that in the Life and Death debug. I know they're just reusing assets, but I'm choosing to look on the bright side. You know what I mean? And I also used the wrought iron swing set. I didn't use the monkey bars, but I did use the swing set in the backyard. I love it. I love the new set. It's perfect. And then I headed inside and I went full kind of gaudy over the top in a lot of these rooms because a lot of the new build items have the black with the gold accent. So I just went wild with it. I wanted to do something where it seemed like they had a lot of old furniture and a lot of new furniture that's kind of mixed together. So like their family has been living in this house for generations and they keep a lot of their old furniture and then they also mix it with the new kind of glam, expensive furniture, modernized. I really like how it turned out and it helped to really fuse both styles that the pack comes with. So I thought that was really neat. But now I kind of want to get into the story that I have for today, and I'm really excited to share it because when I was researching the Romanian revival architecture, I thought it would be a really good idea to also have the story be related to something Romanian too, because also I, in general, was really unfamiliar with anything besides, a lot of things that people associate is, Dracula, Transylvania, vampires, and there's a lot more to Romanian folklore and fairy tales and folk tales than just that, and that's what I wanted to get into. So I have a story for you today, and I am basically just going to summarize it. I'm not going into a lot of details, and I will leave links in the description for you to read the whole thing as it was originally published, and also just other websites and stuff where you can read more Romanian folklore and stuff like that, because I read through a lot of it, and it was all so interesting, and I really want to encourage you to go look at this and go read them for yourself. So this story is called Youth Without Age and Life Without Death. And isn't that so fitting? It was originally published in 1862 by a Romanian folklorist, and I am going to try so hard to pronounce this name, okay? I looked it up. I'm doing my best, okay? Petre Ispirescu. He was told this story by his father, and he took it and a bunch of other stories and collected them and then published them together. Similar to like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, where it was just collected and then published, not made up by the actual person themselves. And this one is quite a bit longer than any of the other ones I've done on here, and it took me a little bit to write it up, so I hope you guys like it. To begin, there was once a king and a queen that were unable to have children. Desperate for a child of their own, they heard of a wise old man who could help them. The man said he could help, but they would only be able to have one son, and he would not be around for long. The king and queen agreed and returned home. When the time came for the birth of the child, the baby screamed and cried and could not be calmed. The king tried to comfort the child by promising him him any kingdom, any wife, anything he wished. But the boy would not stop crying until finally the king said, "I will give you youth without age and life without death." The crying ceased and the birth was celebrated throughout the kingdom. The prince grew older and was loved by the kingdom, but one day, at the age of just 15, he asked the king to fulfill his promise. His father replied that it was impossible, and he had simply said such a thing to quiet the screaming child. The prince decided that he would then set out and search for what he was promised. The boy went to the stables to start his journey. Finding only a sick and fragile horse, he spent 6 weeks taking care of it until it became strong again, revealing 4 wings. The prince and his magic horse set out soon after, leaving the kingdom behind, much to the dismay of his parents and subjects. For 3 days and 3 nights the prince rode, until finally he stopped to rest on the edge of a fairy's forest. The boy's horse warned him of the dangerous fairy, and the prince prepared for a fight. The next day, the prince heard the sound of the fairy's approach and shot an arrow, severing her foot. But the fairy meant no harm. She sensed the magic of his horse and invited the boy to her home. Once there, the fairy expressed great pain from her injury, and the prince pulled her severed foot from his bag and returned it, healing her instantly. To express her gratitude, the fairy asked the prince to choose one of her daughters to take as a wife. As this was not what the boy was looking for, he moved on. He soon exited the territory of the fairy and entered that of her sister, and after a remarkably similar encounter with her, the prince moved on once more. Moving on once again, the prince and his horse found a beautiful meadow full of spring flowers where they stopped to rest. The horse tells the boy they will soon reach the palace where he will find youth without age and life without death. The prince mounted his horse, which spread its wings and flew over the forest surrounding the palace. They were greeted by a beautiful fairy and her 2 sisters. The boy told her of his quest, and he was invited to stay, and his horse could graze anywhere it chose to as well. After some time, the prince married the youngest sister and was given total freedom in the land. The only exception was the women begged him not to visit the Valley of Lamentation. The prince lived a very happy and peaceful life in the beautiful palace and surrounding forest for a very, very long time. He remained as young as the day he arrived, never experiencing pain or sorrow, until one day, while hunting on the edge of the land, he unknowingly struck an animal in the Valley of Lamentation. When he went to retrieve it, he passed into the valley and was overcome with a longing for his parents and his kingdom. He returned to the palace, and his wife and her sisters soon realized what had happened. They begged him not to leave them, for his parents had died long ago, and if he left, he would perish as well. But the prince decided he must go. The horse tells the boy he will bring him home only on the condition that once he dismounts, the horse will return to the fairy palace, and whatever happens to the prince will be his own doing. The prince agrees. The women sobbed as he left, and the boy and the horse passed through the lands they had once traveled on their first journey. However, where there were once fields and meadows and forest was now cities. The prince questioned the locals, asking them of the fairies he had met early on his quest, but they laughed at him. They said they had only heard of them from stories told by their great-grandparents. Confused and angry, the prince continues his ride to his parents' kingdom, not noticing the long white beard he had grown or the tremble of his feet. They soon reached the prince's home kingdom, and he dismounted the horse. The horse tells the prince he is returning to the fairy palace, and he will take him right then as well if he wishes. But the prince replies that he hopes to return too, and says goodbye to the horse. The prince approached the palace where he had grown up, only to find it in ruins and covered in weeds. He wandered the once beautiful palace, entered the stables where he had once found the enchanted horse, and finally entered the cellar, where only an old chest remained. He approached the chest, the long white beard growing longer still. He opened it, and a voice spoke, "Welcome. If you had kept me waiting much longer, I too should have gone to decay." And the prince fell to the floor, dead, his body crumbling into dust. The end. So when I was going through looking for stories for this, I learned a lot, and I will have the link where I read this story, a couple different ones. There's this one website I found which has a bunch of different folklore from a whole bunch of different places. I will link that. I will have a whole bunch of stuff in the description, so I really would like for you to check it out. But I thought the story was very fitting for the pack, for the theme of the build in general. And then also, it kind of just struck me. I thought it was very beautiful. I just want to say, obviously, I'm reading the story in English. The version I read is English. I don't speak Romanian, so I don't have the original anything. So when it says fairies, if maybe the original is a sort of Romanian style type of fairy, I understand that it's probably a little different connotation to kind of deal with how it is expressed in English. I also learned while I was doing this that Moroi is Romanian. If you've ever played Phasmophobia, you know that's one of the ghost types you can get. I thought that was really neat. I knew that they had a bunch of different things because they have like yokai, poltergeist is German, stuff like that. I didn't know Moroi was Romanian. I thought that was really cool. But while I was telling you that story, I furnished basically the entirety of the bottom floor. So I'll get into everything I did here. So I wanted to use, as I said earlier, a lot of things from the pack, almost everything that I could, including debug stuff. You see in this office, I have the scrying bowl from the Reaper career. I thought that was just cool. In my lore for this build, I have one of the parents is in the Reaper career, the other one's in the Undertaker career, and then the children, I each gave them personalities as well, because I think it's a lot more fun to build like that. I don't really like making generic rooms that don't have any personality in them. Like, I know when people download them off the gallery, they probably want that so they can add their own, but you could just delete my stuff. You can delete easels and whatever, and you can make them a different kind of sim if you want, but it's just a lot more fun for me to create ones for specific sims. So downstairs, I pretty much went with, if it came in the new pack, I put it there. So dining room, everything pretty much from the new pack, except the dining table. I needed a longer one. And then, but the chairs, yes. And I have some of the old ones and the new ones at the same table. I thought it turned out looking really good. And there is no TV in the living room because I thought it ruined the vibes. But we do have computers in the house, so your Sims will be fine. And you can always add a TV. It didn't feel right for them to have a TV to me. So with the toddler's room, I went wild with the new wallpaper. I was obsessed with all of the new wallpaper, and this one I knew I had to use. So what better to do it for a kid's room? And I also got to include my beloved clown painting in here. I didn't put it in my last build because it felt wrong to put it in the cathedral, and I missed it very dearly, so I'm glad that it's back. So this is the toddler's room. And then there's also a teenager and a regular child. Also, with the amount of paintings that I use in here, there are some ones that are reused, but I used a lot of the tarot card ones. I am obsessed with them. And also, I do this for pretty much every single one in the house. If you size down Vlad's giant painting, it fits almost perfectly with the new tarot card painting. So I do that pretty much everywhere to give it a really pretty frame instead of the regular one. I'm obsessed with it. I love doing this. I think it makes everything look so much better, and I do it pretty much everywhere. So if you've seen me do it and see me repeating it, yes, I'm sorry. I will continue to repeat it. I will keep doing that. You cannot stop me. Now I want to get into the kind of lore I gave to this house. So the parents are in the Undertaker and the Reaper careers, and then one of their children is actually a ghost. So I wanted to embrace the pack and having the ghost skill tree and everything like that. So with my story for this, with the new well of longing and regret, you can't actually wish for a child the way that you can with the romantic garden stuff wishing well, but I'm pretending that you can so that it goes with the new well of longing and regret instead. So in my story, the parents desperately wanted another child after their toddler, but they couldn't have one. So they go to the well of longing and regret and they wish for a child, and they are given a ghost child. And in my mind, I was looking at the high school years Art Deco furniture, and I was kind of obsessed with it, and I haven't used it a lot. So I was like, oh, what if the ghost of this little girl is from maybe the 1920s, and she loves things that are kind of in this Art Deco style, and also she loves pink. Her room is themed pink. This is the teenage boy's room. I made him an artist, so he has an easel and an easel on the balcony and all these posters, and I think he's really cool. The little girl, what if she's from the 1920s and she loves Art Deco? So when I do her room, it's fully with the high school years furniture and kind of that Art Deco-y style. And now the parents have kind of made it their life mission to bring her back to life so that she can be a normal girl again. So you'll see when we go into the basement what I do to kind of show that, do a little storytelling in the basement of them trying to bring her back to life, and also goes along with the Reaper's Rewards event. So I also used a lot of stuff that you get from the event. I have all the freezer bonies in different places, stuff like that. I wanted it to come together. I thought it would be really fun, really cute. And I also gave the teenage boy his own crow because I thought that would be nice. He gets to have the crow. I love that you can have the crow. I love that the crow can kill you. That's so fun. This pack is kind of everything to me. I'm going to be real with you. By the way, the outside of the build is very much inspired and based off of Romanian revival style architecture. The inside is not, because I'm not sure if they do special stuff on the inside. But the outside, very much, I put a lot of effort into that. and I was very proud of it. I found a lot of the pictures. I wanted to use the red roof the way that a lot of other houses in the world have, and also a lot of the pictures I was seeing, but also I found this one picture of this building that had the black trim and accents, and I fell in love with it, and I did that one instead. I'm also obsessed with the roof that kind of looks like rainbow fish scales. You know the children's book Rainbow Fish? One of the roof textures with the new pack looks like the scales, and I really want to use it for something. So if you have any ideas, let me know, because I'll also be thinking of that. I have a couple ideas, but I have so much stuff I want to do that I don't even know what order I'm going to do it. I can't even tell you what video is coming next. I'm sorry. I also cluttered this place up quite a bit. It took me a long time to build this. A lot of stuff is cut out. A lot of trial and error. Obviously, I got rid of the floor plan, and then I actually did leave in one bathroom this time because I thought I did something cool enough to warrant leaving in one of the bathrooms. So 2 of the bathrooms are cut out, though. This is 3 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, and then it has the basement, which is more of a researchy kind of area. But a lot of clutter everywhere. Also, do any of you have problems where the Sims will delete some of your items? Because I noticed that later I had to go in and put them back. So how do I stop that? I would really appreciate it if I could stop that. I also gave the teenage boy his own balcony because I felt bad he didn't get a super cool and fun story like the little girl did, and he isn't the toddler with the cool new wallpaper. So I gave him the balcony. Hopefully, I mean, he's not real, but hopefully he likes it. But then I move on to the little girl's room, and I went just full pink in here. I love doing this for kids' rooms and stuff. When I was a kid, I was not a fan of pink. I'm still not really a big fan of pink in general. A lot of my stuff is just black. But I do love colors when they're on other people. I think they're fun. So I love building rooms like this where they're more colorful because, I don't know, I feel like stuff in my life that I typically like is a little dark. So this is fun where I don't have to live in it, but I do get to create it. It's a perfect little middle ground. And I included a bunch of stuff from the paranormal stuff pack in this build to kind of be a nod to the fact that the girl is a ghost. So I have the little doll there. I think down in the kitchen, I put the candy jar that you get with the paranormal stuff pack that the ghosts leave you. Like, she collects the candy for her family. I thought it was cute. And then on her shelves, I put a bunch of stuff just for display only, like the twisty hands and stuff. She's a ghost. She just leaves that stuff around. But she's a very sweet ghost. She's a good ghost, I promise. One day I'll make a house that has an evil sim that eats people or something. But for this one, she's a nice ghost. Her family loves her. They get along. Everything's great. I just can't help myself from involving a ghost. I love ghosts. And also, it's this specific pack here. I'm going to make a build with no ghost. I can't do it. Do ghosts? I know in The Sims they have to sleep and stuff like that. But what do you think ghosts do, if you believe in ghosts, when there's just nobody around? Can they, do they get bored? Do you think they get bored? How do you think this works? Do they have to stick around? Is there 24 hours in a day for a ghost, or can they kind of just disappear into nothingness for a little while if there's nothing going on, no one to watch? Because otherwise that would be so boring. You know what I mean? Anyway, here's me putting a bunch of ghost paraphernalia all over the shelves to show that, hey, she's a ghost. She has all this stuff. I found that with this pack, a lot of the vintage glamour stuff pack goes along with it pretty well. The styles fit pretty nicely together, and I enjoy that because otherwise vintage glamour is kind of one of those stuff packs that I don't really use too often unless I'm using that globe bar, and I've had it forever. I think I got it in a bundle years and years ago, but I just don't use it that often. I also gave this a little curtain rod with a shelf, and I think I do that somewhere else too because I think it just looks way better than having it just these open curtains that aren't actually over a window. I think it helps frame the mirror better. I just think it looks way better with the fake curtain rod that is actually a shelf kind of deal, because I don't have, is it the Desert Luxe kit or whatever kit has the curtain rod that looks like a shelf anyway, so I just use an actual shelf. Onto the master bedroom. The theme for this one was basically just black, just black and gold. The parents like the black and gold, that's why the rest of the house is decorated with the black and gold, and then the kids kind of get their individual colors, but the parents fully black, and I respect it. It's kind of a bit too much for me personally, just a little too fancy. I feel like I would never be able to relax somewhere like this. I just don't belong. I think I just feel like I'm in a museum. Can't touch anything, can't relax. I also love, these aren't actually in the curtains section in the menu. They're just kind of a decoration, but they have curtains. I actually think it would be cool to put a door between them. I wonder if your Sims can walk through that. I'll have to test that. I'll have to make something else and then see if your Sims can walk through that arch with the curtains. I think that would actually be really cool. That would be a really cool secret door kind of thing. But this bedroom is actually quite formal too. They just strike me as very fancy people. I mean, their family has lived in this giant house for generations. They obviously have money. So very, very formal, very proper, but also very, kind of gothic style. And of course, I put more of the tarot card paintings in here. I tried to sort of match them up with whatever room they were in. I thought that would be neat and that they kind of tell a story, but it's very loose. It doesn't quite match up. It wasn't the main focus of the build. It was just a little bonus thing. I knew I needed to put the Fool somewhere, and then I got the idea to put it in the basement, and I thought, oh, this is perfect. But I will get into that later. For now, we are going into the ensuite bathroom. So all of the bathrooms have the same tile and the same wallpaper. And I know there's one person out there who knows who she is, who hates chevron, but this is not chevron. This is herringbone tile. Okay, they're different, I promise. And I wasn't quite liking how the bottom strip was white. It didn't really seem to match with anything. So I took this painting from Werewolves and I shrunk it down and put it all around the bottom edge of the wall so that it kind of looks like another cool accent tile, and I absolutely love it. It fits with the gold and black with everything, and I did this in every bathroom, so every bathroom has this. Oh, I'm so glad. And I love the herringbone tile. I think it fits the aesthetic very well. And like I said, you know who you are. It's not chevron, it's herringbone. They're different. Then it's just furnished like a regular bathroom. I am so happy that we got an entire bathroom set. Basically, we didn't get a toilet, but I can live without a toilet, and a kitchen set with a dishwasher too. They really gave us all of it, which is so nice. I love getting things that match each other and that you can also use with things that aren't from the pack, which I think a good amount of the stuff I can find use with other packs and things, so that's really cool. I also am not a big fan of Cass. I don't go into Create a Sim very often, but I do love the new clothes from there. I have like a base Sim self that I haven't really finished. She only has one outfit, but I think I might use some of the new clothes when I finally go in and finish her. And she's usually the sim that I use to test my build. This house is play tested also with a toddler to make sure the toddler bed works, and like the swing set, everything's been play tested, so hopefully everything will work fine for you if you download this from the gallery. As usual, I'll have all my stuff in the description, but the Cass stuff, I actually really like it. Cass is good, the build stuff is good. I did see some people saying they probably wouldn't use a lot of the Cass stuff, but I would. I definitely would. I'm so glad this pack wasn't a huge letdown. There isn't really anything that I don't see myself using. The rugs are really nice. I really like the new rugs. Maybe some of the bar stuff is just a little big unless you're building an actual bar, which I don't build a lot of community lots, but I think if I did, it'd be fine to use. So I really don't know if there is pretty much anything in this pack that I wouldn't use. Obviously, funerals are a huge addition, are really awesome to have. I love ghosts. It's like one of my things in real life, like a ghost fan. So I'm going to use that all the time. So overall, I'm really happy with this pack. Now we're back outside because I really needed more detail on this house. It just looked too flat. It looked too plain. I needed more decoration. And I did kind of similar to what I did with the cathedral, where I added the corbels as a sort of frame for the corners of the house. And if I had the tool mod, I feel like I say this every video, but again, if I got it, I probably would never finish a build ever because I would just be adding so much stuff and then my computer would set itself on fire and then I wouldn't be able to build at all anyway. But if I could do it at the bottom corners too, if I could flip them around with the tool mod, that would look so good. But we're just working with what we got. It's okay. And I do really like just how much adding these really made everything look way better. As soon as I did this, I was immediately like 100% felt better about the build. I think they added so much. And it's not quite the detailing around the windows that I was talking about earlier, that kind of decoration, but it's good enough. Like, this is The Sims. I'm managing my expectations, and I think it looks really nice. And I added them on literally every corner on this house, so you'll see me do it. And I had to place the wall there and then delete it to get them to go to the right way, but it was totally worth it. It was totally worth any of the hassle. I do a lot of alt placing in all of my builds, so it's not that much of a big deal. Kind of just getting them to line up at the same place was the hardest part here, but it wasn't too bad. I also can't believe I managed to use a round wall in this build, and it didn't even cause me any trouble. Originally, when I first started with the size of it, I had to change a few things because then when it was intersecting with the straight walls, it was a little weird. But then I just used one of the pre-made ones and it worked just fine. And I didn't have any other issues with it the whole time. Even putting the balcony on it was fine. The railing didn't look ugly. The windows clip just a little bit around the corner, but I think it still looks okay. Not all of the windows work on that round wall. I don't think any of them are technically compatible in the menu, but they do work. So I used them and I was very relieved because otherwise it would just be plain and then I'd have to hide it with bushes or trees or something. I also ended up noticing that over here my windows were uneven, so whoops, and then I fixed that and then made sure everything looked okay in the girls' bedroom. I usually go around at the end of a build and make sure things are even. I press the function 5 button and then that lets you move things on quarter tiles, and it's really nice except for when it makes it really easy to make things uneven because it's really hard sometimes to notice when things are uneven on a quarter tile. So I usually at the end go around and make sure everything looks okay and is in the right place. I'm sure I still slip up on some of my builds, but it's not a hard fix, and it's never in the front because, you know, you look at the front a lot more, so you catch those a lot more often. As I was doing this too, I realized I didn't put any furniture or any decorations out on the balcony of the master bedroom, so I did add some stuff there. It's just a couple benches because not really much else can fit out there. And then I started the landscaping, and I added a lot of cypress trees because even in the description in The Sims it says that they're commonly found in cemeteries, but that's also a real life thing. So I added a lot of those, you know, fit the theme of the pack, and also I just think they look really nice. And then I added wisteria all over the house because I thought it would look really pretty, and I do think it looks really pretty, so I'm glad I did it. I'm pretty happy with how the landscaping in general came out with this build. I was going for a bit fancy and manicured, but not too much. So wisteria is known to just grow kind of crazy, so it's not completely covering the house. They maintain it, and then later I add a bunch of very clearly groomed bushes. And also I'm obsessed with the fence that came with this pack too, that I used around the perimeter of the property, and also the fence that you use on the balconies and stuff. But the one for the outdoor sort of fence, the gate one, I think that is so good. That would be really good in a cemetery, which I'm sure is what they originally intended you to use it for. It was designed for. So good on them, because that's exactly what I think of when I see a fence gate like that. And I will probably use that in the future. I still haven't built a cemetery yet. I will eventually, probably if I go through a phase where I do a lot more gameplay. I'm probably going to want to build a cemetery for my Sims, and then I will definitely record that, but I don't know when that'll be. And like I said earlier, I have so many things I want to do that I'm so excited for that I can't even choose what I want to do. I know originally I told you I recorded this on the 27th. Well, now it is not the 27th anymore because Thanksgiving happened, and then I had a whole bunch of stuff to do, and then I went to a concert and everything, and then my voice was a bit shot, so I couldn't finish my voiceover, so I'm finishing it now. It's December now, and we just had our first snow, which is very late, by the way. December 1st for the first snow around where I live is very late, but I really want to do something maybe holiday, festive. I definitely want to build something in the snow. I'll probably just do a kind of festive themed house, and I think that'll be really fun, because also I've kind of been building in the same sort of dark style for pretty much all of my videos that I've done, and it'd be nice to do something maybe a bit more contemporary, a bit more relaxed, less formal. A lot of my builds feel like they've been very formal, except for, of course, the saw bathroom, which, by the way, I was not expecting so many people to watch that video. Thank you. I didn't know there were so many of us Saw X The Sims fans out there, but I'm glad there are. but that video did way better than I was expecting it to. Maybe it was the thumbnail. Maybe that helped out a little bit. I definitely could have gotten this video out earlier if I hadn't decided to build that, but then I built it and it was so quick to just record a little voiceover that I did that instead of finishing this, and then all the other stuff happened, so I had to kind of put this away. Honestly, worth it though. I love the way that the Saw bathroom came out. If you haven't seen that video, I really think you should go watch it. Or if you haven't seen Saw, the movie, the original 2004 Saw, you should watch that first and then go watch it. But I do really like my Saw bathroom. I love how that came out. Back to this build. I also really love how the little greenhouse turned out. It relates to what I have going on in the basement soon. I did the basement last. I know this whole video is in kind of a whack order. This whole build gave me so much trouble every step of the way, but I'm very happy when it came out, so it's okay. Also, the amount that terrain paint seems to transform things. I love terrain paint. I love doing terrain paint too. Whenever it's time for terrain paint, I'm like, yay! Which I know a lot of people hate terrain paint. I don't know why. I love terrain paint. I'll do terrain paint for every build that you don't want to do terrain paint on. Just give it to me. I got you. Side note, because I just said yay, I went to the Renaissance Fair over the summer, and I went to one of the kind of circus show things, and they had signs that said yay and boo, and they'd hold them up, and then the audience would go yay or boo. And so anytime I hear any of those words now, I think of the Renaissance Fair and how I hope I go again this next summer, because I had a really good time. And hopefully this time, it was very last minute, so I hope the next time I will know that I'm going, and then I will have a few months to make an outfit, because I actually also like to sew. I have 1,000,001 hobbies. I should really just stick to a couple, but I have so many, and then they all get pushed aside for a certain time, and then I just have to go pick them up, and I'll pick up in the middle of a project and be really mad at myself that I abandoned something and had no idea what I was doing until I come back to it like 3 months later. But I hope I go to the Renaissance Fair again. I just wanted to tell you that because I said the word yay and it reminded me of the Renaissance Fair. Shit, you know, Renaissance Fair would also be a really sick ass build to do too. I need to stop. I need to write all these down. I'm never going to get to all of them. Oh my God, there's so many. I'm consumed by choice. I'm paralyzed by choice. I don't know what to do. You guys need to help me out. I need to know what the people want. I wish I had a greenhouse in real life. I love plants. I'm also not very good at taking care of them, but I do love plants, and I like to know their meanings and the symbolism, whatever. Taking care of them, though, I get distracted very easily. So it's kind of it's for the best I don't have a greenhouse, because it would be full of dead plants. This little stargazing blanket, oh my God, as soon as I saw that, I knew I needed to use it. So I set up this little area in the backyard with lights, and then I also used a bunch of other lights all around, and I made it nighttime so that you could see how it looks, and I think it looks so cute. And then I put a little picnic basket and a little lantern, so that's a little stargazing area. And then I also add a telescope over there too. And then over on the back porch, I put the new bicycle from the Reaper's Rewards event, and then also an outdoor grill. I normally don't like the backyards that I do, but this one is so good. I'm so happy. And that's it, basically completed. Now we just have the basement to do pretty much. And for the basement, I can finally tell you, with how the parents are obsessed with trying to bring their ghost daughter back to life, they have dedicated the basement to the study of making ambrosia. And I thought this fit really well with the completion of the Reaper's Rewards event and things like that. And I also have the Fool tarot card front and center, because they want to give their daughter a new life, like a new beginning, new journey to start as a human again. So I have the flower arranging table down here and some garden pots to show the gardening level kind of thing of this. And then I have fish up on the wall. I have the angelfish, and then I have some other ones that, like, kind of exotic ones that they caught when they were trying to get the angelfish. And then it's filled with books. It looks like they have so many books and they've been studying studying and looking for things. And a lot of these are actually too, I got the cookbook clutter and I put those around because that's them studying the cooking so that they can actually cook the ambrosia. And I thought this was so neat. This is probably my favorite room in the house. I also just love any room that is super, super cluttered because I think it looks so lived in. It looks like they were actually studying here, looking, searching. I have a fishbowl on the desk. And then for the final wall in this room, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I almost put another kitchen in here and then I didn't do that. I remembered earlier when I was going through the debug menu and the live edit objects from the new pack that I saw the ghost cow plant, and you can actually place the ghost cow plant. So in the final wall, I give him kind of his own little home where he stays, and I imagine they grew the cow plant because they heard that it could extend a Sim's life. So they tried that to maybe bring their daughter back to life, but instead the cow plant just gives you life essence if it eats somebody, and that can extend a Sim's life. It doesn't actually bring a Sim back to life. So that was like their failed experiment. But in my head, they really loved the cow plant, so they ended up, it is a ghost cow plant, so I think they let it die, but then they play with it now that it's dead and it's a ghost. And the little girl, I don't think she's allowed down here, but I think she does go down here and she plays with the ghost cow plant sometimes, and her parents don't know. I think that'd be really cute. You know, ghost solidarity. One's a cow plant, one's a little girl. I think it's cute. She has a little fellow undead friend. Maybe it helps her feel less lonely. And she deserves it. She's a sweet little girl. I always feel kind of crazy when I talk about this because I am just making shit up. I mean, obviously my Sims aren't real, so the girl's not real. The lore of the house isn't real, but I'm having fun. I'm allowed to have fun. Just because you get old doesn't mean you can't have fun anymore, right? So that's what I'm doing. Growing up is learning that actually you can do whatever you want and nothing matters, like at all. Do what you like. It's more important than doing what you're supposed to do. If I did anything I was supposed to do, I think I probably would have been dead by now. So, I think I'm right. I'm not going to worry about it. I think I'm right, actually. And then we can finally get to the area where I put the cow plant. And he's quite big. It's been a minute since I've played with a cow plant. I forgot how large they were. But I love him. And if I were this family, when I died, all of the will would go to the ghost cow plant because he deserves it. He's locked in this poor little basement. He deserves better. I'm sorry that I did this to him. I hope one day they bring him out of the basement. But you can interact with him. This is play tested. You can play with him. I made sure. That was very important to me. But now I'm going to go into the tour because we're pretty much finished. So I will talk to you in like 2 seconds, okay? 1, 2. Hello, welcome to the tour. You're probably going to hear my keyboard as usual. I apologize. So this is the house from the front, and then we're going to go around to the sides with the ivy. I really like how it looks. I'm a big fan. Go around to the backyard, and then we have the greenhouse, which I love. I can't believe how well this door matches. The door from Get Famous to this. It's pretty good. Inside of the greenhouse. And then if we follow this path, we get to the little area over here, the swing set, and the back porch. And then so we're just going to go back around to the front, and we can head inside. So this is the grand entrance. To the left, we have just a normal bathroom. And then we have kitchen with the cow plant painting. That's my favorite one. And then back out. This is the dining room, and we have the new chairs with the old style chairs, kind of the mix and match of the different styles that I talked about earlier. And then this room off here is the study, and it has a piano in here. It's got the chess table because everyone knows you need to have logic skill in The Sims. Then back out and through here we have the living room with a no TV because it didn't feel right, but you can always add one. And then a little extra sitting area over here. And then this just leads out to the back porch. So then if we go back over here, and then we're going to head upstairs. Here's the upstairs landing with the new little death frog here. And then we have a little sitting area. Maybe someone likes to knit over here or something. I don't know what people do. And then we'll start, this is just a little bathroom. And then we have the toddler's room, which I think is so cute. clown painting, my beloved clown painting. And then we have the teenager's room, very cool, with his balcony, with another easel here. And his pet crow. He deserves it. And then we head out over here, and this is the little girl's room, the little ghost girl's room, with all her little ghost stuff. And then we have some freezer bonies in this cabinet. And then we have the master bedroom. Very fancy, very cool. And the ensuite bathroom that they have, which is honestly bananas. This bathroom is huge and so fancy. And then we basically just have the basement. So back down on the first floor through this door, and then down these stairs. Down the stairs, and here we have our ghost cow plant and our Ambrosia study area. And that is the full tour. So I'm going to go into screenshots, and thank you for watching. Don't quote me on this or anything, but I think the kind of Christmassy festive build is going to be what comes next. Unless something else gets me in a chokehold the way the Saw thing did, which is entirely possible, honestly. So I guess you'll just have to wait and see. Or something. Or you could not wait and see. You can do whatever you want. But if you wanted to stay, you could. You could stay if you felt like it or something. You don't have to. No, it was stupid. I'm sorry. Whatever. My bad.